Greetings and salutations. Today we'll be covering the case of the Death Valley German tourists. This chilling tale unfolded in the scorching desolation of California's Death Valley, where temperatures can soar to unearthly heights. In the sizzling heat of July 1996, a group of 4 German tourists embarked on an ill-fated journey into the heart of Death Valley. They ventured into an area near Anvil Canyon, a place known for its unforgiving conditions. However, their adventure took a sinister turn when they inexplicably vanished, leaving behind a lone minivan as their last vestige of presence. As the days passed, a frantic search operation would be launched, but it yielded no answers. Authorities would find themselves confronted by a baffling absence, a riddle without a solution. Despite their best efforts, they were forced to call off the search. As years drifted by, casting a shadow of mystery upon the fate of the lost German tourists, it would not be until 2009, a full 13 years later, that a glimmer of hope emerged. 2 devoted volunteers, Tom Mahood and Les Walker, embarked on their own quest for answers, and through their relentless pursuit, they would be led to an isolated desert location many miles southeast of the forsaken minivan. There, amidst the harsh terrain, they stumbled upon a gruesome discovery, partial remains that would at last bring some form of clarity to the puzzle that had confounded investigators for over a decade. In the end, the riddle of the location of the Death Valley German tourists had come to an end, but even as light was shed on this enigma, there were still a series of haunting questions about the forces that conspired to claim their lives, and the secrets and conspiracies which lurk in the unforgiving depths of Death Valley. It was on October 21st, 1996, in Death Valley National Park, that Ranger Dave Berner was on a helicopter high above the scorching recesses of Death Valley. His mission was far from ordinary, involving an aerial surveillance operation aimed at uncovering illegal drug manufacturing labs that were believed to be hiding in the area. To set the stage, Death Valley itself is a desolate expanse in the eastern sections of California, straddling the border between California and Nevada, nestled east of the Sierra Nevada mountains in the northern Mojave Desert, renowned as one of the hottest places on Earth, with Badwater Basin boasting the single lowest point in North America, sinking to a very deep 282 feet or 86 meters below sea level. The infamous Furnace Creek has recorded a blistering 134 degrees Fahrenheit or 56.7 degrees Celsius on July 10th, 1913, etching its name in history as the location with the highest ever surface air temperature on our planet. The vastness of this desert extends approximately 3,000 square miles across 2 states. During the aerial reconnaissance, the ranger locked his eye onto a peculiar sight in Anvil Canyon. This desolate landscape covered some roughly 2.4 miles downstream of Willow Springs. What really caught his attention in this area was a stranded passenger minivan, which was completely out of place in the rugged, off-the-grid terrain. Typically, such a vehicle wouldn't have made it very far into the canyon. Moreover, what made the discovery even more perplexing was the fact that Anvil Canyon had been off limits to the public for nearly 2 years. This prohibition had resulted from the Desert Protection Act of October 1994, which officially designated the area as a protected wilderness area, effectively barring public vehicles from its use. Local miners who had once ventured into these canyons in pursuit of precious metals like gold, silver, and talc had long abandoned these routes after financial turmoil in 1907 brought their operations to a screeching halt. By 1915, virtually all mining activities in the areas had closed, and even the passage of the Mining in Parks Act of 1976 couldn't revive the mining claims in Death Valley proper. It wasn't until the closure of the Billy Mine borax operation near Dante's View that the final curtain call would close on the mining activities. So the enigma deepened as the presence of the Plymouth Voyager in this area was nearly inexplicable, both because of the lack of use of the area and because of the restrictions surrounding this section of Death Valley. Upon landing, Ranger Brainer wasted no time in examining the curious vehicle and its desolate surroundings. What lay before him was a 1996 Plymouth Voyager, its once vibrant green-colored, dulled by the relentless dust of the desert. This minivan had been adorned with California license plates and had most definitely seen better days. It was not merely stuck, but entrenched in the very sand around it, with its axle sinking into the unforgiving terrain. The front left tire and the two rear tires had surrendered to the harsh landscape. Bearing the scars of the journey, the tires had become flat. As investigators delved deeper, they would find a rather troubling revelation thanks to the aid of the California Highway Patrol. This minivan had been reported stolen by the Los Angeles Police Department on September 10th, 1996. The vehicle was registered to Dollar Car Rentals, and it had been rented by none other than the missing German tourists. On July 8, 1996, Egbert Rimkus, his son George Weber, Egbert's girlfriend Cornelia Meyer, and her young son Max Meyer had embarked on a journey which would lead to much mystery and intrigue. The minivan had been scheduled for its return in Los Angeles on July 26th, but it would never make it back to its rightful owners. Dollar Car Rentals, however, adhered to a strict policy of waiting at least 30 days before reporting a stolen vehicle to the authorities. The trail of the enigmatic travelers leads investigators to Dresden, Germany, their place of residence. From there, they had embarked on an adventure that took them to Frankfurt Airport, then to Seattle, and finally to the bustling city of Los Angeles, California. Cornelia Meyer was the individual who would be allowed to drive the vehicle when they collected it. The original stated plan was to return to Germany via TWA on July 27th. However, something seemed to have gone awry, and the family never boarded the plane. Intriguingly, in early July 1996, Egbert made a significant call to Dresden, requesting a transfer of $1,500 to the Bank of America branch in San Clementine, California. The transfer, however, was directed to a Bank of America branch in Los Angeles. The mystery deepened as a camera discovered in the abandoned Plymouth revealed snapshots of their journey. They had apparently ventured along California's coast and made a stop at the Treasure Island Hotel in Las Vegas. By July 22nd, they had departed from the hotel and continued their odyssey into the heart of Death Valley. At the time, temperatures soared to an unbearable 124 degrees Fahrenheit or 51 degrees Celsius. Their intended destination was the majestic Yosemite National Park. However, they would never reach this destination. It was at the Furnace Creek Visitor Center that a crucial piece of the puzzle would eventually be discovered. 2 copies of Death Valley National Monument text in German being purchased suggested their quest for knowledge about the unique landscape. One of these books was found within the 1996 Plymouth Voyager. The other, however, was not. Moving forward, on October 22nd, investigator Erich Inman was transported to the Anvil Canyon area. There, he embarked on an initial search, carefully documenting the scene, noting Ranger Brainer's tracks from the previous day. However, he found no other footprints being discernible around the vehicle. However, the area held more mysteries in the forms of food wrappers, human waste, and discarded toilet paper. Intriguingly, Inman's journey continued as he returned to the Badwater area in Death Valley, joining forces with Detective Jim Jones and Corporal Leon Boyer from the Inyo Sheriff's Office. Together they made their way back to Anvil in order to further unravel the enigma that surrounded the fate of the German tourists. During the search of the minivan, investigators located an American flag bearing the inscription Butte Valley Stone Cabin. This cabin was known as the Geologist's Cabin, which rested 4.1 miles to the west of the minivan's final location in Anvil Canyon. This cabin was a shelter which housed essential supplies, including food, water, and other resources sourced from Anvil Spring. It must be noted that the American flag itself was in a state of transgression, a departure from the custom of raising it to signify the cabin's occupation. The list of discoveries in the minivan was nothing short of extraordinary. Amongst the artifacts recovered were 2 unopened bottles of Bud Ice beer, alongside 1 empty bottle and a 3/4 full bottle of bourbon. Strewn amidst this particular tableau were several empty, oversized water and juice containers, luggage, clothing standing as a testament to their unfulfilled journey. The photographic treasures that lay in the detritus included several rolls of 35mm film, along with a 35mm camera, a brand new Coleman sleeping bag, pristine in its box, which offered a stark contrast to its counterpart, a tent along with a pipe of tobacco, a leather cord carrier containing bank cards, and a Citicorp credit card, a card from the Seahorse Resort in San Clementine, children's toys, an unused spare tire, a jack, the significance of which confused detectives further still. The investigation would eventually have the minivan removed from its forlorn resting place in Anvil Canyon on October 23rd. With each revelation, the story of the German tourists would become increasingly complex. The cabin, the flag, the eclectic collection of items left behind beckoned investigators to delve deeper into the mystery contained within Death Valley's unforgiving grasp. Eventually, investigators would attain a rather important clue: the visitor logbook at Warm Spring mining site. This site was nestled along the route connecting the main valley and Butte Valley. Said logbook contained an entry by the German group on July 23rd. What they stated roughly translates to, "We are going over the pass," and it was signed Connie, Egbert, George, and Max. The pass referred to here likely points to the Mengel Pass, situated just a few miles from Anvil Canyon at the southwestern extreme of Butte Valley, and it stands as the sole gateway to cross the formidable Panamint mountain range for a considerable distance. However, the path is an extremely rugged route, navigable only by 4-wheel drive vehicles, and utterly impassable for the modest Plymouth Voyager minivan. Eventually, a determined search operation would be initiated by the China Lake Mountain Rescue Group, who would be joined by trackers from the Indian Wells Valley Search and Rescue Group, along with 8 mounted units from the Kern County's Sheriff's Mounted Search and Rescue. They would set their sights on Anvil Canyon in particular, embarking from its entrance into the Warm Springs Road. Their pursuits led to a puzzling discovery: yet another Bud Ice beer bottle, firmly embedded into the sands of Anvil Canyon, nestled beside a solitary bush approximately 1.7 miles east of the minivan's location. Here, an area had been meticulously circled, and next to the bottle, a seat print marked the desolate landscape with an abnormal tableau. The search continued into day 2 as they expanded the search area, bolstered by the arrival from a search and rescue team from Nye County, Nevada, and another from Inyo County. The efforts were further fortified by the deployment of 2 helicopters. Areas scrutinized on this day extended well beyond the Anvil Canyon region and included segments of Warm Spring Road, Butte Valley, and Mengel Pass, along with the vicinity adjacent to Warm Spring Road. The search area ranged from the canyon mouth to West Side Road, and from the van's location eastward to the head of Anvil Canyon at Willow Spring. On October 25th, the relentless quest for answers extended its reach further, with the Death Valley National Parks team exploring the area between the mouth of Anvil Canyon and the far side of the main valley at Badwater. Meanwhile, a search and rescue team from the Victorville area scoured southeastern fringes of Butte Valley. A Bureau of Land Management ranger embarked on a quest along the western side of the pass, spanning the territory between Ballrat and Barker Ranch. A team from Lake Mead National Park ventured from Anvil Canyon, traversing the mountains and descending into Butte Valley. The Indian Wells team continued a thorough investigation around Willow Spring, situated at the head of Anvil Canyon. The 4th and final day of the search operations was October 26, and it marked the the culmination of efforts. The Death Valley National Parks team extended their security areas north of Warm Spring Canyon, while the Victorville team probed the region surrounding Butte Valley. Over at the Lake Mead National Park team, they would examine this striped Butte area. The Bureau of Land Management ranger, positioned on the western side of the pass, persevered in searching this area further still, considering other possible routes that the missing group might have taken if they had been traveling westward towards Ballarat. The Indian Wells team conducted searches near Warm Spring Road and West Side Road, prompted by the discovery of footprints. A vehicle search and rescue team from Apple Valley, who had just recently joined the search, scrutinized the area along West Side Road, traveling northward from Warm Spring Canyon Road, where the group could have sought shelter. Aerial reconnaissance was attempted once again via the 2 helicopters, spanning quadrants around Anvil Canyon, including the southern region, but unfortunately, this effort was hampered by adverse high winds as the day drew to a close, with no fresh leads uncovered since the discovery of the beer bottle at the first day, and along with diminishing hopes of finding the missing party alive, the official search was reluctantly called off. A spokesperson from the Death Valley National Park estimated that at least 250 individuals had been engaged in this exhaustive quest, and that the area had been meticulously searched. And while there was a high probability for a successful rescue, unfortunately, there was no trace of the Germans. Once granted access by the Inyo Sheriff's Office to view the recovered pictures from the family's camera, Emmett Harder made a revelation of utmost significance. He recognized a sunset photograph gazing eastward into the main valley as having been captured in Hanpua Canyon. This remote location was nestled about 17 miles north of Warm Spring Canyon and hinted to a compelling theoretical scenario: the presence of the Germans at the visitor center on July 22nd and their logbook entry from Warm Spring on July 23rd suggested they had made camp in the upper recesses of Hanpua Canyon on the night of July 22nd. The mysteries seemed to be giving way to a timeline. There were also reports of an individual on an ATV who had stumbled across 2 rather curious German canteens. These were discovered in a location described as a midpoint of a straight line between Sugarloaf and Needle Park, approximately 3.5 miles southeast of the minivan's location. The question now stood: could these canteens hold the key to the group's fate? The reports would also tell of a ranger's encounter with a sleeping bag in a remote dirt road, roughly 18 miles south of where the Germans' vehicle was discovered, leading to the question of, was perhaps this the missing sleeping bag? Remarkably, the ranger, deeming it trash, discarded the sleeping bag, but it was noted that the road's remote terminus led to a microwave relay tower once owned by AT&T. It wouldn't be until the year 2009 when Tom Mahood first encountered the haunting details of this case. Little did he know that it would ignite a fire within him to join a search and rescue team. With an investigator's intuition and a heart driven by the desire to unearth the truth, Mahood crafted a theory in order to shed light on the Germans' fate. As the theory unfurls, the focus on the Death Valley National Monument Museum text booklet, purchased by the Germans, becomes a focal point. It painted a route to the west, a journey that would take them through Butte Valley and Mangle Pass, past the infamous Baker Ranch. This was a place that was synonymous with the Charles Manson family, and onwards onto the ghost town of Ballarat, ultimately potentially leading the family to Yosemite. The most plausible scenario was that on the morning of the 23rd of July, the tourists departed from Hanpua Canyon, setting their course southwards to Warm Spring Road, where they turned west. At this juncture, they would have encountered a relatively smooth dirt road, which would lead them to a seemingly abandoned Warm Spring camp. Their intentions may have been to inquire about the road's conditions to travel further west, believing it to be an active settlement. However, upon their arrival, they would find that the camp was indeed deserted. In a gesture of travel curiosity, they signed into the register, indicating their intent to travel through Mangle Pass. Continuing westward, the theory posits that they went towards Butte Valley, where they would have confronted a deteriorating road before the enigmatic stone cabin. Here they might have paused once more to attempt to glean information regarding road conditions. However, their inquiries would be met with silence, and so they would have passed on, accompanied by a pilfered flag. As they would have drawn closer to the pass, their journey would encounter an insurmountable obstacle. The onset of trouble would have arrived as they approached the treacherous terrain of Anvil Canyon Road, a path unsuited for the faint of heart. Pressing forward, their fervor to reach Yosemite would likely have driven them to misjudge the peril that lay ahead of them as they sped along the precarious road. There, their tires met an untimely fate, once meeting the unforgiving rocks, which would have undoubtedly punctured them. The group, now stranded, was left with a predicament to which there was no safe escape from. It was a scenario that would have led Egbert to desperation. Consulting the maps at his disposal, he may have spied the northern boundary of China Lake Naval Weapons Center as being tantalizingly close, just a scant 8 or 9 miles south of their location. The vision of a military installation within reach, a mere few miles away, could have appeared as a beacon of hope in this rugged landscape, leading to their decision to abandon the vehicle and tread further away from even the sites which the search and rescue team focused upon. With a new area of investigation posited, officials would be able to rule out areas within this range, including ruling out that the group would have ventured into Wingate Wash, and thus this area would remain unexplored. However, Tom Mahood would remain unabated by this. Believing that the Germans' fate lay in the direction of China Lake, his theory grounded in the belief that the tourists' misguided hope that the military facility would offer salvation and shelter, along with a populace that would aid them, would cause them to take this risk. It would be in 2009 that Mahood, along with his search partner, Les Walker, would embark on an audacious journey into the heart of Death Valley. After days of painstaking exploration, their efforts rewarded them with a grim discovery. On November the 12th, Cornelia Meyer's remains were found, and in the following day, the remains of Egbert Rimkus were located. The location was a desolate and unforgiving terrain, roughly 8 miles from the desolate area where they had abandoned their van, and 4 miles from the China Lake military facility's boundary. This place was known as Goller Wash. Mahood would chronicle the chilling sighting in his blog, stating, "We spent the next hour carefully examining the site. The scattered debris would be noted to be approximately across 150 meters, which hinted at a tragic tale. Amongst the remnants, items included a passport with a bank ID and photo, a toothbrush, a tube of some form of salve or toothpaste, and not far off, a small shoe, possibly belonging to a woman or child, lay near a side wash. Portions of the woman's daily planner, along with business cards, were also spotted, detailing the identity of the corpses located. This grim discovery extinguished any lingering hopes of a secret life and the getaway for the missing Germans. In subsequent searches led by Walker and Mahood, as well as authorities, more bones would be uncovered, though not enough for DNA testing remained, which would mean they would not be able to definitively connect it to the children. The duo would weather the harshest of conditions, from the desert's desolate landscapes to the harsh wildernesses of the underbrush, finally bringing closure to a 13-year-old case. For the families in Dresden, Germany, this marked the end of a painful wait for answers, and the rise of new questions. Could there be some hope beyond hope that the children were still alive? While unlikely, the possibility would remain, faint as it may be. In the end, it appears that the perilous conditions in Death Valley left death to lurk around every corner, and unfortunately, this German family was not able to avoid its cold embrace. In the investigation of this mystery, investigators have delved into the dark desolation of Death Valley and seen it valuable to forewarn others of its dangers, and the grim fate that would follow any of those who made light of said dangers. From the initial discovery of the Plymouth Voyager to the determined efforts of Mahood and Walker, the threads of this twisted tale turn with tenacity and terror. The tangled tapestry serves as a stark reminder of Death Valley's desolation, which demands due diligence for all those who decide to delve within its deathly expanse. If you remained with me until the end, I thank you, and I do hope you stay tuned and subscribe for more content.